Welcome to Artificial Evidence. I'm Owen Carver, your guide through the murky depths of unsolved mysteries and stories that defy logic. Tonight, we're exploring a case that has left investigators, conspiracy theorists, and the public alike grasping for answers. This is the story of Glenn Whitaker, a journalist whose disappearance aboard a moving train sent shockwaves through the Pacific Northwest.
The details begin on a damp November evening in 2018, the kind of night when Seattle feels like a city cloaked in secrets. Amtrak train 457 prepared to depart from King Street Station, its passengers settling into their seats for the 3.5-hour journey south to Portland. Among them was Glenn Whitaker, a 33-year-old investigative journalist whose name had become synonymous with exposing corruption. Glenn wasn't just any journalist. He had earned a reputation for uncovering the kind of truths that made powerful people squirm. His most recent stories had focused on a shadowy real estate conglomerate accused of illegal land grabs and money laundering. According to his colleagues, Glenn believed he was close to uncovering something explosive, something bigger than anything he had tackled before. He boarded the train wearing a grey hoodie and jeans, carrying a well-worn laptop bag. Witnesses later described him as focused, his face illuminated by the glow of his laptop screen. He sat in the middle car, typing furiously and occasionally scribbling notes in a small journal. A half-empty coffee cup sat beside him, cooling as the train sped southward. The journey was uneventful, at least, that's how it seemed. Passengers read books, stared at their phones, or dozed off to the rhythmic clatter of the train. Glenn, however, was entirely absorbed in his work. When the train pulled into Portland's Union Station just after 10:30 p.m., the passengers disembarked, but Glenn did not. When a conductor noticed his belongings still on the seat, he assumed Glenn had stepped off briefly and would return. But he didn't. His laptop was open, displaying a partially written document. His phone wasn't there. His journal was missing. Glenn Whitaker had vanished without a trace. The investigation began immediately. Security footage from the train should have provided answers, but crucial segments were inexplicably corrupted. Investigators combed the train and its route, stopping at Tacoma and other stations to search for signs of Glenn. His phone was eventually found discarded near a trash bin at Tacoma Station, its memory wiped clean. Glenn's colleagues were quick to point out the obvious. His disappearance likely had something to do with his reporting. He had been digging into a real estate conglomerate known as Northwest Holdings, a company with alleged ties to offshore accounts, political bribery, and a series of mysterious evictions. Glenn believed he had uncovered a key figure behind it all, a person referred to in his notes as the broker. A week after his disappearance, an anonymous package arrived at the office of Glenn's editor. Inside was a USB drive containing fragments of his work, encrypted files, maps of properties owned by Northwest Holdings, and cryptic phrases like ghost properties and watch your step. One file contained a list of names, some of whom were already known whistleblowers who had vanished under suspicious circumstances. Then came a chilling development. A passenger on a train departing from Eugene, Oregon, snapped a photo of a man resembling Glenn boarding another train. He was dressed differently, wearing dark sunglasses and a baseball cap pulled low, but his face was unmistakable. He appeared nervous, clutching a small bag. Authorities traced this lead to an abandoned train station in Northern California. There, they discovered a backpack containing Glenn's journal. Inside, the entries became more erratic, filled with warnings like, "They're always watching," and "The broker controls everything." One entry, dated 2 weeks after his disappearance, read, "If you're reading this, I'm sorry, I had no choice." The discovery led investigators to revisit older cases along the same railway. They found unsettling parallels to a disappearance in 1992 involving another journalist investigating corruption in Washington state. That journalist too had vanished without a trace while traveling the same route. As the months passed, the case grew colder, but whispers of conspiracy grew louder. Some speculated that Glenn had been silenced by the powerful figures he had been investigating. Others believed he had staged his disappearance to escape a threat only he understood. And then there were the theories about the broker, a name that appeared repeatedly in Glenn's notes. Was this an individual? A code for something larger? To this day, the route between Seattle and Portland remains a busy corridor, but for those who know Glenn's story, it's a journey shadowed by unease. Who or what took Glenn Whitaker remains a mystery, one that continues to haunt everyone who knew him. This is Artificial Evidence. I'm Owen Carver. Until next time, remember, the truth may be elusive, but the algorithm knows.